Hello and welcome, everybody. This is the N+1 podcast, and this is the podcast where we obsess about obsession. You know, everybody has obsessions and hobbies and passions and things that we like to dive into. And as anybody that has an obsession knows, there's always something deeper, always something more. There's always another thing that we're striving for. As soon as you're done building the bookshelf in the garage, there's another project right behind it waiting to get started. And that's what this podcast is all about, is N+1, not just the passion that you are currently knee deep in, but also what is on the horizon, what is next. And that's what this podcast is all about. And today we have a really cool guest, my coworker, Josh Gomes, who is a bona fide certified prospector. I've known Josh for about almost 2 years, and we've worked elbow to elbow, and he's a really cool guy, and he's got some really great content and tips for us. But before we get into that, I just wanted to do some follow-up, because in my last episode with Gabe, I started asking a couple fun questions at the end of the show, including, what is your favorite all-time cartoon theme song? And I mentioned that this is a very important question to me, and it's so important that I didn't feel like the first guests should be left out. So I hit them up on the old telephone and texted my first guests, and I felt like they should weigh in. So my sister Bethany, who was our first guest, she says hands down Animaniacs, and I mentioned that when I was talking to Gabe. But yeah, she said Animaniacs was the best all-time cartoon theme song. Keenan, he says Phineas and Ferb, 104 Days of Summer Vacation. You can't beat that. I think that was pretty good. Adam Malore says that he had a hard time thinking of one, but he really enjoyed a show when he was a kid on PBS called Arthur the Aardvark. I'm not familiar with that one, but he said that that's what he liked. And then Courtney Pong, in episode 4, she says that it's not even a contest. DuckTales, a woo-woo. Anyway, without further ado, going to get over to Josh, and we're going to talk about prospecting, and he's got some really good stuff for us. Let's get over there. Oh, hey, and one other quick note. This episode does contain some explicit language. Not much, but I just figured I would let it fly rather than trying to bleep it out or whatever. It's not much, but I just thought I would let you know. All right, on to the show.
Are there any radiation fears with all this equipment?
Oh God, my notes! This happened in another show. I had all my cards, and as soon as they started asking questions, I dropped my notes right on the floor. Got them all out of order. Hello and welcome, everybody. I am so excited to be joined today by a very special guest. This is my coworker, Josh Gomes, and today we are going to be talking about prospecting. And if I'm right, prospecting, that's just like panning for gold, right? You can just do that with like a plate, right, in the river.
I can do it with a shovel. I can do it with my hand.
Oh, so I'm right.
Yeah.
So Josh and I have been working together for almost 2 years, like 18, 19 months, and we sell plumbing and HVAC. That's our day job. But I found out that Josh is a semi-professional prospector. Like he's been doing this basically your whole life.
Whole life.
And we're going to get into that in a minute, but he takes it extremely seriously, and that's the whole point of the show, the N+1 podcast. And we're going to talk about prospecting. We're going to learn about prospecting, and Josh is extremely knowledgeable. And the thing is, we worked for a long time. We worked a couple feet from each other, and I would always try to get him to open up about it, and he would answer me a question or two, and then just move on. And so this is actually my attempt to actually get him to talk about prospecting.
All right. Well, we'll see what you get out of me.
So this is Josh. Oh, dang it! I did. In episode 3, I dropped my cards on the floor and they got all out of order, and I did it again right before we started to record. I did it all over again.
So unprofessional.
I know. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is,
for the uninitiated, for anyone who doesn't know, what is prospecting? Explain it as you would to a 5-year-old. What is prospecting?
Prospecting is okay. You got gold mining, and then you got gold prospecting. Gold mining is what you see on TV all the time with Parker and Gold Rush, and they're just tearing apart the land, getting all the gold out of the ground. Prospecting is the hunt for gold.
Okay.
It's the finding of it. Like, prospector goes in, finds gold, and then moves on to his next adventure for finding gold. Most prospectors aren't, oh, I found my gold, let's dig, let's get that gold.
Okay.
Like in my state, I want to see what's over the other hill. I found this much gold here, there's got to be more on the other side of the hill. So the prospector just keeps on prospecting. He doesn't sit down and mine,
Okay, that is completely different than what I had in mind. That is completely different than the picture I had. It's not mining, it's prospecting, it's the hunt.
It's the hunt.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that is really interesting. That is really interesting. What are some misconceptions? That actually leads us into some misconceptions. What are some misconceptions that people have about prospecting? And maybe that can get into, actually, no, see, they're out of order again. How did you get into prospecting?
Well, I was raised prospecting. My father and uncle took me out before I could even start walking, and I was sitting on top of their dredge. Back in the day when we could dredge, I'd be working the dredge while they're underwater sucking the river.
Okay.
Yeah, I could do that. Before I can even walk, I was out there doing that.
Yeah.
I had pictures of me on my dad's back, and they'd take me out to the creeks, and I kind of got away from it for about 10 or 12 years, and then hooked back into gold, and it's a fever, gold fever. I'm sure you all heard of it.
Sure.
Once you get it, good luck. You're screwed. You got the fever, yeah. And you need to satisfy that craving all the time.
Yeah. Would you liken it to, like gamblers, pulling the slot, you just want the next one's right over the hill.
The rush.
The next one's gonna hit.
Exactly.
Except for in this case, you're actually hitting because you're finding gold.
Finding gold, but not always. I mean,
not always.
You can move a 20-ton boulder after 3 days of hard work and
nothing.
And there's nothing.
Wow.
Or you can move a 2-pound boulder and you got a nice little 2-ounce nugget. It's just, gold is where you find it.
Wow. Okay. What are some misconceptions that people have about prospecting, and like I was alluding to earlier, specifically prospecting versus gold mining, and you got into that a little bit, but what are some of the big misconceptions people have about prospecting?
No, most people don't know what prospecting is.
Yeah, I had no idea.
A lot of miners out here, they're called weekend warriors, or
I've met a lot of those.
Small operational miners. They just go out on the weekends and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Those are usually, your usual prospectors. They don't do much damage to the earth. The river, when it rains, does a lot more damage than any one man can do with a couple tools.
Right.
So that of miners out there ruining the river, it's not true. It's not true. We can't do anything the rivers can't do in their flood.
And you've mentioned that in the past to me, is that as maybe a misconception that miners are ruining the river.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that before, that like a single rain does way more damage.
Way more damage. And dredging was our big moneymaker back in the day here in California, and that's been illegal for 12 years, 13, maybe even more. But everyone used to complain because the dredges would make the river kind of muddy, because they'd be swimming downriver. You're way upriver, but they're getting a little bit of dirty water. The problem is with these people that are complaining, they never hike during the rain. They never see a river when it's raining, when it's really muddy. So
right, and it's basically pitch black when it gets when
pitch black.
Yeah. I actually have seen the rains, the rivers when it rains. I used to have a job that was right next to a creek, and when you get even like a decent like downpour, I mean that river just gets basically pitch black. It whoosh, and it settles down, and it clears up, and it's just part of the ecosystem. And you guys are.
So that's the miscommunication. And plus, when we're dredging out there, we're moving rocks from one spot, putting them in another spot, and making huge holes for salmon to spawn in or any kind of fish to spawn in. And we're taking all the lead and mercury out of the river. So we're doing a lot more good than bad.
Sure.
But,
Whatever.
the government wants their gold. They don't want us to take it out of the river. I get it.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a prospector?
If you want to be a really good prospector, you got to go places where no one's ever really been before.
Okay.
And that entails like going deep in the woods, which means you don't know what's out there. You don't know what's behind each tree or lying in the tree above you. You got to sleep out there because you can't just hike in and hike out. You usually hike in 7-8 hours and then you probably stay there for 3 or 4 days.
Because if you just hiking in and hiking out, you're by definition not going where no one has gone before.
Right.
You're just exactly where people have gone before. You need to really get into the weeds where, if you're, okay.
Poke a lot of holes in that river and find where that gold is. Yeah, you need time for that.
Okay.
So.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely later.
My face is blurred out, right? And my voice has changed.
You got sunglasses on. You're wearing a hat. It's fine. I think we're good. We're actually doing okay. Have you had any notable like bad experiences? Like maybe you were out there and it was like torrential rain nonstop for like a week, or you got injured and you were far away from where from civilization, or you were mauled by a bear and you didn't survive, or I don't know.
All of the above, all those have happened. Yeah, thank God I haven't been hurt really bad. Just some bangs and scratches, but that's the biggest fear of being out there is getting hurt to where, sorry, you're gonna crawl out, Yeah, I haven't had any. I've had some slips and you slide down a mountain. That's some of the scariest shit in the world. You're just looking for a hand, something to grab onto.
Man,
I
can't even imagine. That's terrifying.
You're climbing up a ridge and pull up and there's a fucking rattlesnake right in your face.
God.
I've been in my hammock and mountain lion batted me like I was a toy. They're just curious. They see something hanging in a tree and they bat at it. Yeah, just a lot of little. Not too long ago, the bears.
Oh gosh.
I always run into bears, but you can usually see them walk away and go different. This one, I came around the corner. There's 2 cubs, and you know what happens to these cubs? And there's a mom somewhere. So I'm like, oh shit! It's like 10 yards away from me, so I'm backing up, and I hear. Usually you think it's here comes mom coming at me, but no, there goes mom running away from the cubs up the hill, abandoning her cubs. So. That was a weird one.
That's weird.
But those are any of the times the mom could have came at me and that would have been done,
Lights out, man.
Yeah,
that's terrifying. So we talked about bad experiences. What about like good experience? What about doing this like fills your bucket? Why do you do it? Like what fills your bucket? Besides like a bucket full of gold.
The gold's just the bonus. We usually do this because we just like to be out in nature. Camping, surviving. A lot of people fish for fun, but people like me look for gold in the rivers for fun. So it's just a hobby. I kind of forgot what your question was.
What fills your bucket?
What fills my bucket?
Yeah.
Being out there in nature. I could find no gold, and if it's at a beautiful spot, I'll be satisfied.
Yeah. As a person who's notoriously indoorsy, that I don't understand that, but I get that people are like that. I'm not like that, but okay, awesome.
Yeah, I don't even have internet at home. We have a TV, but we don't have like service. So that's what we do. We just hang out and outside.
Yeah. One of the questions I like to ask people is, in the vein of DIY, do it yourself, do you have any techniques or tricks of the trade that you feel like you've developed yourself that you haven't seen other people do, that you feel like your way's better?
I have a few, and
Do you not want to share them because you don't
I
want them to get
will
out?
share one.
One!
I promise you I'd share you one, which I know none of you have ever seen it on YouTube.
Okay,
or
is that
anywhere.
what we're going to show? Okay, we're going to get into this in a little bit. I have a new segment called Let's Get Into It.
Any one of you can do it too. Anybody.
Okay, so we're going to do that in a minute, and we're going to probably move the cameras a little bit. But we're going to get into this. He's got a great DIY tip that he's developed, and we're going to show that here in a minute. What about guilty pleasures? Like, do you have a guilty pleasure, like other prospectors, if they saw you doing this, would be like, I can't believe he's doing that, but you don't care, you do it anyway because you love it?
One of my guilty pleasures is when I'm really deep in the woods, I like to pan naked. That's
Seriously?
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's real.
Nice.
Yeah, being on a river naked,
Nice.
panning for gold. It's
I believe that. That's awesome.
it's
Something like
being one with nature for
being literally one with nature. That's awesome. I love that. That's great.
My uncle taught me that one. I used to wake up in the morning when I was young, look out the tent, and there's my uncle in his underwear panning gold.
Awesome.
This episode of the N+1 podcast has been brought to you by Desiree Miller Tutoring. That's right, I would not be able to do this podcast without the loving support of my beautiful wife. She has supported me every step along the way, and I would like to help her out by supporting her tutoring business. That's right, my wife is a credentialed teacher with a 4-year degree, but we are also homeschoolers with our children, which frees her up to have some time for her small business of tutoring. She can tutor online via Zoom if you are anywhere, basically. You can find her on Facebook through Desiree Miller Tutoring. I just did a search and she pops right up. She has very reasonable rates, and she can teach young learners of all different grade levels from very young up through high school. And she's an excellent tutor, and she has had very good success, and her students love her and the parents love her. If you would like assistance with your young learner, get in touch with her. That would be a great benefit for you and your learner, and it would help my wife to be even more supportive of this podcast because she would be getting new customers. Another thing you could do for this show would be to make sure to, whatever way that you are consuming this podcast right now, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or YouTube, just go ahead and give it a like or a share or whatever, and just get the word out. And just find one person. Don't send it to everybody. Find one person that you think would like this podcast. If you are enjoying it, just send it to one person, and if they don't even watch it, it doesn't matter. Just one person you think that would like it, and share it to them. And we're just trying to get the word out on this new podcast. We're just trying to get established, get our legs underneath us. And I'd really appreciate it. It would mean a lot to me. Anyway, we're gonna get back to Josh. He's got some cool stuff coming up for us. Thanks, guys.
So what's been, out of your lifetime being prospecting, panning, mining, what's been, in your mind, your favorite or your best moment? Like, what's been your crowning achievement? You look back and you think, man, that really made the whole thing worth it.
Crowning achievement was definitely R.A.D. Adventures.
What is that? R.A.D. Adventures?
Rich Ass Dirt Adventures.
Nice.
It started with just me and my partner, and we'd take a few people out, because I have a YouTube channel, Prospector Josh.
Okay. It's kind of dead now. You haven't posted in a while.
I had a son, and I gave up YouTube, and I'm still working my best project right now, which is my son. So I'll get back into it.
Yeah.
But R.A.D. Adventures started with just taking a few people out that wanted to learn prospecting. And then we went deeper, and we bought better claims, deeper and deeper in the woods, and more people started coming. for a couple years there, we're getting 20, 25 people each tour, and we're doing 4 or 5 tours a year. And to babysit that many people going that deep in the woods got a little hefty, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a great accomplishment. Met a lot of great people. I didn't get to really do a lot of gold prospecting, but I had fun teaching people.
Yeah.
And of course charging them 15% and whatever they take. No, I'm just kidding.
So, but just explain this real quick, because you told me a little bit about it. But basically, it's a curated camping trip with mining and prospecting, and like you said, you're kind of babysitting. You're taking the people on the road or out in the woods. You're camping. You know the spots, and you're taking them to your claims, and basically you're supervising them while they're mining. You're teaching them mining, and then I think you mentioned, like, if they're mining and they're not having success, you know the spots, so you say, hey, go over here. Right. And, you did that. You said you did that a couple times, and you had a lot of fun and had some success and made some money, and it was all the good things. Right?
Yeah, we made a lot of money, but every penny went back into the business.
Nice.
And that's why it got so big and so fun.
Yeah.
And if you see the videos,
I'll link to the videos in the description, Prospector Josh.
You'll see, like, whoa, I've never seen a camp like that. So we had some wild stuff.
That's awesome. What if someone was considering getting into mining and specifically prospecting? Now, you have a lifetime of experience. Someone was considering to get into mining. Let's say they've done mining for a while and they want to get into prospecting. What advice would you give them? Where would you tell them to start? What would you tell them to skip?
Biggest mistake I see beginner prospectors do is spend a shitload of money on all that equipment. You don't need any of that. I've seen guys spend $600-$700 for it to even get in a river, and it's like, you're gonna take 6 years to get that much gold to pay that off, you know. So, like what I did, you go in with just a pan, buy a $10 pan, and get a screwdriver, and go in the cracks of the rocks and clean those until you get some gold, and then use that gold to buy better stuff like a Seuss box. And then when you get more gold in that Seuss box, use that to buy a trommel. You know, it's just build it slowly. Don't buy everything at once, because it ain't gonna work out that way. And it's better because you learn to be more of an engineering prospector when you make your own stuff too, and you don't waste all that damn money.
Yeah.
On gimmicky crap. It's all gimmicky crap. All you need is a pan.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's exactly the same way you should build a guitar pedal board, one pedal at a time as you need it. Don't spend $3,000 on every pedal you need. Get one pedal at a time as you need it. See, relating it back to guitar pedals.
Right, like totally relate.
That's my background. His background. Like I mentioned, we're gonna get into his demonstration. Okay, we're gonna do the show and tell time. That you're gonna teach me some prospecting.
Yes.
And what are we going to show me?
So, an easy thing that everyone can do is...
you said anyone can do this?
Anyone. I call it mossing.
Mossing.
So, will the camera pick you up by the moss over there on that rock? Can it see?
Yep.
If you guys hike down into any river, especially up in the gold country or kind of Northern California, go into any river, any creek, and if you want to see if there's gold, if it's a gold-bearing river or creek, some of the easiest ways is, I call it mossing. Get down the river, especially during late summer. In late summer, the rivers are down the furthest, so that's when you want to get that moss that's really low in the river. And you just pull the moss up. You use a screwdriver or anything, and you just collect moss. I'm talking getting a 5-barrel bucket and fill that damn thing up with moss.
Okay.
So once you do that...
Okay. So we've collected some moss, and that's what you have here. You've got a bucket, a little pan of moss.
Pan of moss that me and my son went down and collected out of a river by our house a couple of days ago. So it's dried out in the back of my pickup, and now we're gonna...
This is just regular moss from the river.
Yeah, regular old moss. All right. And hopefully it's dry enough from sitting in the back of my truck.
Okay, you're lighting the moss on fire.
I'm gonna try. I don't know if it's dry enough. There we go. Burn. All right. So usually what you would do is you would collect this moss and you get buckets full, buckets. You get 3 or 4 buckets full. And then you let it dry out.
All the way, so it's nice and dry.
Yeah, unfortunately this stuff's not dry enough. And you burn it, and then you sweep up the ashes. And then you put it in your pan, which we won't have to do it. We don't have to do the burning technique. We can do this technique. We'll just do it the water way. So just get your moss in there, break it up. You want to get all the dirt, because what happens is the moss is like a little filter. It collects all the dirt and gold. So we'll just do a quick little thing. And let's see what we got here. Gold is really heavy. It's the heaviest thing in a river, so you're gonna find your focal point in the bottom of the pan is about right here. That's where the gold's gonna be every time. And this is called prospecting because you do this really quick and you'll be able to find out if there's any gold, which I do see some. Let's get it.
Totally. Saw some gold. I saw it.
There's actually a lot of gold. You see that? That's what the moss picks up. Is that fine, fine, fine gold.
Hold on, I want to get out of the shade. Yeah, there's gold right there. A bunch of it. What do you know?
And that's just, yeah,
Awesome.
pretty good. Oh, there you go. Not bad, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
And that's just from moss.
Mossing.
Mossing.
Thank you, Josh. That was a great tip, and we'll get back to the show. What is the name of the show? N+1. What is on the future? What is on the horizon? What are you working towards? What are you working? Do you have any plans for the future? I know you have a new partner.
Yes, I do. And this partner
It's very important to you.
works for free.
Slave labor is always awesome.
So my R.A.D adventures is probably going to turn into my son, who is 3 years old right now, and he's probably done more outdoors shit than most anybody in the world. But
Your son's pretty cool. I met him. He's pretty rad.
his middle name's Conrad, so it's probably going to turn into Conrad Adventures.
Nice. That's
and
awesome.
you're going to start seeing a little 4 or 5 year old do some crazy shit. I mean, he's already going in the mines and rappelling, and he can shoot a deer from he's just an amazing kid.
Nice.
But yes, that's my new partner, and I think that's gonna be our next journey, is me and him, and hopefully y'all can follow us through YouTube.
Nice. Okay, I got a couple outro questions. These are just the silly questions I ask. If you can't think of a good answer, it's fine. No pressure or anything. I want you to tell a story and casually drop the name of the most famous person you've ever met.
Most famous person?
Yeah.
Wow, I've met so many.
And, like, if the most famous person you ever met is like the mayor of the town, then
No. If anyone, no one's gonna know him. Boyce Joff. Boyce Joff. He was the main character in Devil's Gold. It was on Discovery Channel. He went on one of my tours before.
There you go.
I've had a couple of celebrities go on my tours, but I would say Boyce Joff. He's one of the best, coolest, down to earth celebrities I've ever met. Yes.
You just dropped this. I picked it up for you. Name drop card.
Name drop. Boyce.
And I want you to tell me, what is your all-time favorite cartoon theme song?
Damn.
This is my favorite question, guys.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's the Bluey song now, because that's
The
what my
Bluey?
son loves to watch. Bluey.
Bluey's good.
Dun, 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 dun. I don't know.
You know, when you have kids, you know, I watched a bunch of cartoons as a kid, and then I had kids. But I never stopped watching cartoons, but then I had kids, and I watched a whole different strain of cartoons. So I want to say thank you so much to Josh for joining me. We're going to link to his Kind of Dead YouTube channel if you want to watch. His videos are great. I've seen some of them. We're going to give him a bump in viewership, but you can check him out. I know you don't have a lot of social media. You probably don't.
I gave that all up.
Yeah, so there's not really anywhere to follow him except for that YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But hey, go visit a lake or a creek with a pan.
Yeah,
get out there.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to stay inside and avoid the sunlight. Even just being out here is awful. I'm going to go back inside now. Well, hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to like and share and subscribe and send this to a friend. And until next time, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, and don't be a jerk.